The Bug Out event is going to be happening once again this year, and it's going to be featuring a brand new Pokemon. But this event is already drawing a lot of controversy from the Pokemon GO community, and I'm going to be explaining why in this video. Hey, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon GO video. I hope your day is going fantastically well, and let's dive right into it. So let's talk about the Bug Out event. This is going to be a new event coming later this month. And there's always a lot of controversies around Pokemon GO events, right? Like, this event is certainly drawing a lot of ire from the Pokemon GO community, but I kind of want to question a lot of that sentiment because there is actually a lot of things that Niantic is doing with this event that I think goes against what a lot of players are complaining about. So yeah, let's talk about the details for the Bug Out event because I think you'll have a better idea at what I'm talking about. I'll kind of explain the controversies later on and then give my own thoughts on why I feel like a lot of the controversies are a little bit overblown. The Bug Out event is going to be happening on March 26th at 10 o'clock a.m. local time, and it's going to go until March 30th at 8 o'clock p.m. local time. This event is going to feature the introduction of Sizzlipede along with its evolved form Scorch, and getting these Pokemon is going to require you to spend raid passes. I'll get more into that later. Next, let's talk about the event bonuses for this Bug Out event. They're actually pretty decent. So you're going to have double the amount of experience for nice throws or better. You're going to have increased candies when you hit nice throws or better. And then you're going to get an increased chance at getting Candy XL for every nice throw or better. So this is going to be kind of like the Catch Mastery event where you're going to be rewarded for getting nice throws with your catches. That is definitely something you should keep in mind because this is going to be a great way for you to farm up these particular resources. Now, one thing that I suggest you do is that you line up a whole bunch of field research task rewards for Pokemon that you want to farm up candy for. That is going to be a great way for you to get a whole bunch of candy during this event. It's definitely one of the things that I typically do whenever there is a bonus like this. So yeah, make sure you go out and complete some field research tasks before this event and stack up those research rewards so that you can get yourself a whole bunch of candy. Now, there's other bonuses that are going to be active during this event. Lure modules will actually attract Sizzlipede. So if you do not want to go the raid route, this will be a way for you to get this particular Pokemon, but it is going to require you to lure up some Pokestops, and then you're going to have to sit there. And essentially, it is still a premium form of getting this Pokemon, and I think that's kind of unfortunate. Now, you're going to have an increased chance to encounter Shiny Wurmple and Shiny Venipede during this event, and that is a pretty nice bonus. But even though both of these Pokemon are not relevant by any means, it's still a great way to pick up these shinies if you still do not have them. Now, if enough Pokemon are caught with help from a single lure module, additional Pokemon are going to be appearing at that lured Pokestop. This is actually a pretty unique bonus and I do not often see it, so I do think this is going to be a great way for you to get a whole bunch of Pokemon if you're at a particular spot with a lure module. So if you have a whole bunch of lure modules just collecting dust in your bags, then it might be time to dust them off and actually use them during this event. Next up, let's talk about the timed research and the paid timed research. So the timed research, which is going to be available to everyone, is going to reward you with one lure module, which you can use to get yourself Sizzlipede, and then you're also going to have encounters with event-themed Pokemon, including Shedinja, Sizzlipede, Kleavor, and more. So they will be giving you a free-to-play Sizzlipede. I do think that is something you should definitely not ignore. This is definitely going to be one of the ways that most players are going to pick up this new Pokemon. And then there's also going to be a paid timed research, which is going to award you with one additional lure module, 2 premium battle passes, as well as additional encounters with those event-themed Pokemon. But they're also going to give you an encounter with Heracross. So that is a regional Pokemon that if you do not have it at this point, it might be worth buying this paid timed research. Next up, let's talk about the wild encounters during this event, and considering that it is a bug-themed event, you're sure to find a whole bunch of bug Pokemon. You're going to see a whole bunch of Caterpie, Weedle, Wurmple, Nincada, Venipede, Dwebble, Joltik, Grubbin, Dewpider, Nimble, as well as Cutiefly, but Cutiefly is going to be an uncommon spawn. And then of course, Wurmple and Venipede are going to have an increased shiny chance, and pretty much all of these Pokemon can be shiny, so it could potentially be a pretty decent decent shiny hunt during this event. And just something you need to keep in mind is that a majority of these Pokemon are actually pretty decent when it comes to PvP. More specifically, Dwebble, Joltik, and Dewpider, they are actually pretty good when it comes to PvP, like within the Great League. So that is something you should also keep in mind if you're looking to get yourself a collection of PvP Pokemon. There's definitely going to be a pretty good number of options throughout this event, and you do not want to ignore that. And next up, let's talk about what's going to be spawning in raids, and this is pretty much where all the controversies lie. So in 1-star raids, you're going to get Scyther, Nincada, Sizzlipede in raid battles, and yeah, that's basically how you're going to be able to get Sizzlipede outside of the timed research, as well as the lure modules, and that's kind of unfortunate. And then in 3-star raids, you're going to be able to get Beedrill, Scizor, and Kleavor, and all three of these Pokemon are not necessarily that relevant. Maybe Scizor is because of the Mega Evolution, but aside from that, I will say that you do not need to spend any of your raid passes for any of these Pokemon. And then there's also going to be field research task rewards, Pokestop showcases, new avatar items, as well as collection challenges that are themed around this event. Make sure you're on the lookout for all that stuff. It's not necessarily something you need to care about, but it could prove to be something worthwhile. So yeah, obviously the big controversy with this event is that they're introducing a brand new Pokemon through raid battles. At least, that's what a lot of people are seeing. You're not going to see Sizzlipede in the wild, unfortunately. You will need to raid for it, but Niantic is giving you a lot of free-to-play options for getting this Pokemon. I think the only drawback is, of course, collecting enough candy in order to get the evolved form of Sizzlipede, but aside from that, I feel like this is a pretty decent event, all things considered. They're going to be including some pretty good bonuses. They do have a brand new Pokemon that is going to be making its debut, and you do not necessarily have to raid for it. And I do think that overall, it's a pretty decent event. Like, I really do think a lot of the people that are complaining about this event, yeah, a lot of those complaints are well merited, because anytime Niantic introduces a new Pokemon and it's not a wild spawn, that's always going to draw criticism no matter what. But this time around, they are giving you options. It's not necessarily going to be something you could just walk out and get, that's definitely for sure, but you still do not have to spend any Pokecoins in order to get this Pokemon. There's going to be ways for you to get it without having to spend money, and I think that's something that we do need to recognize. Anytime Niantic does an event like this, I think a lot of players will immediately draw towards, well, how do you get the new Pokemon? How do you get the new shiny? And if it's not something that you can get in the wild, then immediately players are going to hate the event. And I think that's not necessarily something that really should be the case this time around. This is actually a pretty decent event in my opinion. The bonuses are really good at the very least. I think you should definitely not ignore those bonuses. If anything, it's going to be a great opportunity for you to get a whole bunch of candies, especially if you have certain Pokemon that you want to max out to level 50. Then yeah, I think there's going to be ways for you to do that during this event, especially if you have them as, let's say, those stacked field research task rewards like I mentioned. So yeah, let's call it for what it is. This is a pretty decent event. I do not think that for what it is, it's going to be as bad as previous events. I think Niantic has certainly made a lot of missteps in the past, but this is not necessarily one of them. I feel like this event is not necessarily one of the better events, I will agree with that, but at the very least, it's a decent event, and I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this event. So yeah, that's just my own personal thoughts and opinions. I'm pretty sure there's going to be players out there who are going to disagree with me, and that's totally understandable because, like I said, this is one of those events where they're bringing in a new Pokemon, and it seems like the main way you can get this Pokemon is going to be through raid battles. But I think at the very least, you should not ignore the free timed research for getting this Pokemon, as well as the lure modules. I do like the fact that they're adding value to that particular item, because for a lot of the events that I've seen, they tend to do nothing with lure modules, and I think that's a huge missed opportunity because lure modules are something that a lot of players will accumulate just over time. Then when you use those lure modules is kind of weird within this game. I think a lot of players will tend to use their lure modules during like community days and Pokemon Go Fest and different things like that, but during everyday general gameplay, it's kind of rare that you would ever feel compelled to use this item. When you're going up against any Pokestop, you're probably just looking to collect items from those Pokestops, and then you're just going to be collecting spawns around the Pokestop. Like, there's no real reason for you to use a lure module at that moment. But with this event, there's going to be different bonuses, there's going to be different incentives for using lure modules, like certain exclusive Pokemon. I think that's a really cool move, and it's something that Niantic should consider for future events. Again, if they're going to be locking new Pokemon and shinies behind just premium content like eggs and raid battles, then yeah, I think we have a reason to complain. But if they're giving different options for you to get that Pokemon without just simply opening up the game, I think that's also a good way to go about it. Like, yeah, have new Pokemon be part of lure modules, have new shinies be a part of, let's say, field research tasks or lure modules, you know, different things like that. I think that is a great approach to having new Pokemon get introduced without just allowing players to just simply get it just by playing the game. I feel like if they want to give players a requirement to exert some extra effort for new content, then this is a good way to go about it. That's just my own personal opinion. So yeah, let's just leave it there. I think there's going to be a lot of players who will honestly not like what I have to say regarding this event, because I'm seeing a lot of people complain online regarding this event. And if that happens to be you, yeah, definitely share your thoughts in the comments below. Definitely share why you disagree with me. If you feel like I'm completely out of touch, if you feel like I'm completely off base here, then definitely share why. I would really like to know. Maybe I'm completely missing something here, but I'm actually liking this event, and I think Niantic did a good job with it. But yeah, I might be in the minority here. Who knows? But we'll just have to wait and see what you all have to say. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Yeah, just share your comments in the comments below. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of it. And if you ended up enjoying this video, then make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Yeah, that's how you're not going to miss out on any content. And if you want to support my channel, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids and the friendship system. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, like with raids and sending and receiving gifts, all that good stuff, then yeah, definitely go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, like Patreon is not your thing, then do consider joining my social media pages. Make sure you go over there and follow me there. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on the bottom of your screen. If you go there and follow me, you're gonna have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to catch up with my daily life. And I'm sure that's not necessarily going to be exciting, but you know, if you're interested and you're curious, then that is a great way to go about it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, and love yourself today, and I'll catch y'all later.